You are now listening to the Mel Gill Sports Podcast, a woman-run pod that is dedicated to bringing an alternate perspective to sports in all aspects.
Welcome back to the Mel Gill Sports Pod. I'm your host, Mel, and happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're all having a great day. And don't forget, if you're not already, please follow the pod's Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Mel Gill Sports Pod. So, the NBA draft was 4 days ago, and the Raptors kind of shocked the league early on in the draft by passing on Jalen Suggs, and they ended up drafting the Florida State product, Scottie Barnes, 4th overall. And this kind of came as a surprise to everyone, because for weeks on end, we all, myself included, expected to draft Jalen Suggs. And it was only until a few days before the draft that most people heard Scottie's name swirling around in the rumors. And I think it was even the day of the draft. Yeah, I believe that's when it was. Michael Grange, a reporter for the Raptors, stated that we would in fact draft Jalen Suggs, which obviously that didn't end up happening. But as for the initial reactions, especially on Twitter, I remember seeing a lot of who's this or why, and if you look back on it, you may just think, oh, it was just Raptors Twitter being reactionary, as always. But really, I think it was because no one kind of expected it, that we would pass up on Jalen Suggs. And because he's very talented, he's one of the best in this draft class, and he could potentially be a franchise-altering player. And a lot of Raptors fans thought, oh, why would we pass up on this? Why wouldn't we draft Jalen Suggs? But myself, personally, I never felt 100% certain that Masai and Bobby would get Suggs, and because it's never really been in our nature of the franchise to draft someone because of the hype and the attention they receive around the league. And I know that's not the only reason why you would want Jalen Suggs, obviously. And that's not to say that Jalen Suggs isn't extremely talented or to say that he wouldn't be beneficial to a team, because that's simply not true. He's a very great player, and he would be beneficial to a team. But I just think for the Toronto Raptors as a franchise, we've always had that underdog mentality, and we've always drafted guys who are, I guess you could say, diamonds in the rough, or players who are a little under the radar. And I think that's the type of player that Scottie Barnes is. Not to say that nobody knew who he was, because people definitely did. And I believe the Magic were planning on drafting him, assuming that we took Jalen Suggs, which we didn't. So we ended up with Scottie. But that's not to say, I don't think that, I don't think a lot of people were familiar with Scottie or his game. That's why I'm saying this. And maybe more so the fans, but people who watch college basketball, they definitely know who he is. And I didn't know who he was until the reports started coming out, mentioning his name in all these rumors and stuff. So I didn't know who Scottie was before. So I think a lot of consideration goes into drafting these players that not a lot of people think about. You're not just drafting a player for this season. You hope that this player will be beneficial to your franchise for years to come. And while it's impossible to determine at this point in time, who will have a better career, I think that Masai and Bobby for sure saw the potential in Scottie, and they think he'll be a more successful player throughout the entirety of his career. And then also, just to speak about the differences in their game for a second, Jalen Suggs is good at most aspects of his game, but I would say he's not particularly elite at one certain category, and that was my issue with him. But on the other hand, with Scottie, a lot of people said, oh, well, this kid's shot is broken, he can't shoot, and it's just simply not true. If you actually watch some footage, you'll see his shot is not as bad as people are making it out to be. And I feel that with Scottie, he has more categories that he's elite in, unlike Jalen. And Scottie's only problem is his shooting. Shooting can be taught. I've heard a lot of people say this recently. Shooting can be taught, and one of Scottie's major upsides is his size, his length, his athleticism. The kid is 6'9", 227 pounds, wingspan of 7.2, and his hands are 9.25 inches, which is pretty close to the size of Kawhi Leonard's, and you can't teach that. You can't teach size and length, but you can fix shooting. You can fix his struggles with shooting. And I think that's one of the main reasons that we picked him, because he's so elite at everything else that he does. His defense is elite, his strength is elite, his quickness. He's NBA ready, and I don't think that what is on his stat sheet truly reflects his true impact on the court or the potential that he really has. And there were also reports of him being a Draymond Green type player, and I just think it's kind of inaccurate to Scottie. And also then, if you're talking off the court, Scottie, he's already embraced Toronto like crazy in the few days that he's been here. First off, he has family here that's from Toronto. He's Jamaican, like, come on. The kid was literally so thrilled when he heard his name and that Toronto drafted him. And we've come so far as a franchise that players used to avoid coming here. They used to hate Toronto and nobody wanted to play here. Now we have players like Scottie Barnes, like, in love with Toronto in just a few days of being drafted here. And it kind of gave me a sense of DeMar. Like, I'm not comparing him and DeMar, because no one will ever replace DeMar, of course, but I just kind of sense the same passion that Scottie had when he first got drafted in these past few days. He's just embraced us so quickly, and I feel like it's just kind of like how DeMar, he just wanted to step up and he wanted to be that player who wanted to be in Toronto. He wanted to be the first person to embrace us, and he was. And I feel like it just kind of goes back to that, and I feel like Scottie could end up being one of those players who just enjoys playing for Toronto and wants to stay here throughout his career. And, like, he didn't even take off his draft hat for 48 hours. Like, he was on the plane, he had it on, he got here and he had it on. And he got to Toronto within, 2 days or so. And he met some fans, he took photos, and he even met up with the other rookie that we drafted at 46 in the draft, Delano Banton. And I'm not sure where our 47th pick, David Johnson, was during all this and their whole meetup with Drake. But I just hope it's like an issue to do with like travel or the vaccine, and not that he just wasn't included. So I hope it's with that. But yeah, I love our rookies. I don't know much about Delano Banton and David Johnson just yet, but I hope to talk about them next week. I'm just trying to get this episode out tonight before free agency begins. I think it's pretty safe to say that Toronto and all of Canada is in love with Scottie Barnes, and I'm truly so excited to have him on our team and watch him play this upcoming season. All right, so I am recording this episode on August 2nd, and just hours before we enter free agency. I'm hoping to get this episode out before 6 p.m. when it begins, but we're here, ladies and gentlemen. We're so close to the beginning of free agency, and we're unsure what's going to happen. First of all, we're not even sure if Masai has resigned and if he's still going to be with us, right? I expect us to be hearing that news very soon, but I'm not sure. So yeah, but today the Raptors acquired 3 new additions to our coaching staff: Nate Mitchell, Trevor Gleason, and Earl Watson. So I wonder how that's going to play out. And there's so many rumors right now. Let's talk about Kyle Lowry. So many rumors, and I truly don't know which source to trust, and I feel like a lot of people are feeling that way right now. We just don't know what's true, don't know what's happening. But what we know we're almost certain of is that Kyle Lowry's career with the Toronto Raptors is coming to an end. His time here with us is coming to an end. And there were reports of him and DeMar DeRozan seeking to team up in Miami, but I just truly don't see how that would work out. And actually, even before the Lakers acquired Russell Westbrook, there was talks of them reuniting there. But and even last night, we've heard that Dallas was a possibility for these two. And as much as Raptors or Kyle DeMar fans want a reunion of these two best friends. I just don't think it's likely at this point, and I don't see which team could take them both. And if a reunion isn't in the works, I really would like to see DeMar on the Mavs. I think it's the best fit for him, and he'd be alongside Luka Doncic. He would give Dallas that added scoring and take a whole lot of the pressure off of Luka. And I think it would be a great fit for DeMar. But knowing the Mavs, they're not going to do anything. They won't make it happen. But all I know is I want DeMar DeRozan out of San Antonio. I truly do. I wouldn't say it's been a waste of his career, because he's learned a lot under Coach Pop, and he's improved tremendously since his Toronto days. But I want him to win a ring at this point, or at least be playing for a team that is competing and is a contender, because he is getting older, and I just want to see him succeed and hopefully win a ring. And yeah, so I'm really nervous, as I bet a lot of you are, for the beginning of free agency because of what happens with Kyle Lowry. And I understand, as fans, we love Kyle and we don't want to see him go, but I think this has just, it's great timing, I think, in my opinion. I think it would have been dumb to trade him at the trade deadline midway through the season, which I'm glad we didn't. But I just think the timing it's really convenient, because I actually heard someone say this, I'm not sure where I heard it, but someone said the timing is just perfect because it's really hard to have a team and a player want, what's the word? They just want to just move on at the same point in time. And that's true. It's really rare for both the player and the team to be ready to do that at the same time. And so I just think it's really convenient for us. We're moving forward, and we're not gonna re-sign Kyle. So it's just a matter of where he's going at this point. And I feel like if he did reunite with DeMar, it would alleviate some of that sadness and everything that everyone's experiencing right now, because of course it hurts. He's been on our team for so long, and of course it's going to hurt to see him go. But at this point, it's just what's best. And I feel like at least we've had time. We've had that half the season to kind of let it hit us, even though it still hasn't hit me. It's probably going to hit me when I see him in another team's jersey, but can't really do much about it. So, yeah. But I understand, guys. It's tough. And I assume a lot of you guys are anxious and anticipating the start of free agency. But it looks like we're just going to have to wait and see what chaos is about to unfold at 6 p.m. Eastern. So thank you to everyone who took the time and joined me for today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. And I will see you next episode on the Mel Gill Sports Pod.
Thank you for listening to the Mel Gill Sports Podcast. Don't forget to follow on all social media at Mel Gill Sports Pod.